Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Thunderstruck Podcast with Tori. I am your host, Tori Ancona. This is episode 19 of where I talk about all things Los Angeles Chargers related, and I'm very excited to be back. Sorry that I didn't upload last week because I'm moving back into my house after that 2-month period of the pipe leak massacre that took place at my house, and I'm just very excited to be back, almost as excited as Philip Rivers getting off the couch to play some football. Truly the weirdest NFL season I've ever seen from my 13 years of being a fan of this sport. If you were to tell me that the Chiefs would miss the playoffs, Philip Rivers would, make a December 2025 start for a game after the Colts for weeks were the number one seed in the whole conference, I would have looked at you like, I think we should go to the doctors. It's incredible. I mean, I remember watching that first drive and I just had chills. I'm really excited for Phil and very excited for his game against the 49ers to see what else he, brings to the table. And he made some plays and he almost defeated the Seattle Seahawks. And I made a joke to my dad. I was just like, it's so funny that, it came down to Philip Rivers' defense letting him down late in the fourth quarter for him not to win that game. And very Philip Rivers-esque type of NFL game. But, as much as I can talk about Philip Rivers, we have a lot of stuff to catch up on. One that, the Chargers, after getting written off recently after their victory against the Las Vegas Raiders, there was analysts out there, there was, NFL fans looking at this Chargers team and they're like, they're not going to win another game this year because they're playing the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and it looks like they're not going to win another game, and that take is aging very poorly. Almost like the Chiefs' playoffs hopes. But, I'm very impressed. And I think it comes down to, the head coach that we have, Jim Harbaugh, that's really working with what he has, which isn't a lot when it comes to how his offensive line has been performing, and the supporting cast of Justin Herbert being a little bit inconsistent at times, but at the same time, Justin Herbert, without him, we would not be anywhere when it comes to his efforts and all that kind of stuff. And it really is apparent because he's been blitzed 140 times. He's been pressured 239 times, which is the most in the NFL. He's been pressured on 43% of dropbacks. That's the second most in the NFL. He's been sacked 49 times, which is the most in the NFL. And he's been hit, I don't mean to sound funny, but this is actually the stat. He's been hit 6-7 times, which is the second most. And I'm really looking at if the MVP award was looking at, not just relying on stats, not relying on, how many touchdowns did he score this week and this week. If you look at what he's been doing, he's fractured his hand, his non-throwing hand, and then, the week of, he plays the Super Bowl champs. And not only that, but he gets sacked like 9 times against the Eagles. It doesn't look great, but he makes just enough plays to get the Chargers in field goal position for Cameron Dicker to hit, the field goal that, gives them the lead. And then it's all up to the Chargers defense to make that play, which I want to talk about something real quick. I think it's hilarious that with me being somebody who's watched every single Justin Herbert game since he made that, last minute start against Kansas City in week 2 of 2020, it's been so funny to see that a lot of his best performances were lost because of you have a coach that wants to call timeout instead of taking the tie to get into the playoffs because their defense wasn't set. You have coaches like that coached Herbert, but also, you have players that, are dropping passes. You have Herbert not even getting a second to throw the ball thanks to his lack of, O-line protection. And what's so funny is that all of those games where he's lost, but he put up amazing numbers, it's been looked at as Justin Herbert cannot win games. Very interesting. Justin Herbert can't win games But then now he's starting to get on like, a nice little winning streak. Now the narrative is Justin Herbert's getting carried by his defense. Justin Herbert's getting carried by Cameron Dicker. Justin Herbert is getting carried by Marion Hampton is coming back. So it's got to be him. Very interesting to see how inconsistent that take is, because you need a good defense in the NFL. You also need to score the ball, right? I think Justin Herbert scored more points than the other team, put the Chargers in position to do so, but now it was up to the defense to carry the Chargers offense. I'm just very confused about that take. And also, if we're really taking the MVP award seriously, I think we would look at every single team's best player or quarterback or whatever they may be and say, what is the situation that they're in? Are they being hit 239 times before December 21st? Are they? And he's still on his feet and he's still driving down the field. It's getting to the point where I'm firmly believing that Justin Herbert will just not get his flowers, period, when it comes to a lot of the sports talk that is related to him. I think it's just hilarious to see that take where it's just like, oh, Justin Herbert, now that he's winning these games, he's getting carried. Very interesting. Also very interesting that, wow, if you have a good running game and you have a good defense and you trade for somebody that can improve on your defensive line, like Odafe Oweh, you're going to find some success. And the Chargers making that Odafe Oweh move really changed the team significantly better, because for years we would have great, pass rushers. We would have Joey Bosa, we would have Melvin Ingram, we would have all these guys who could step in, but they were just not really that speedy. And you have players like Patrick Mahomes, you have players like Josh Allen, you have players like Lamar that are just going to run around and avoid those rushers because they're just not as fast. But Odafe Oweh is fast. Tuli Pelotu is fast. And don't sleep on Khalil Mack. He's still got some wheels on him. So very, very happy that Odafe Oweh is really thriving in this Jesse Minter scheme. Very cool to see that. And especially the Chargers defense performance against the Eagles really showed me a lot. And it showed me that the Chargers really took in that, horrible outing that they had in Jacksonville. And they really adjusted to, stopping the run as much as they could, rushing the passer. A lot of these turnovers that you're seeing from the Chiefs game and the Raiders game and the Eagles game is that pressure is getting to the quarterback as they're throwing it. And I think that is really apparent when it comes to Jalen Hurts, who is not really under that type of treatment. And you definitely saw that how much of that can have an impact, because on the final game-winning interception by Tony Jefferson, that Cam Hart had the game of his life that night. Cam Hart is just a dog. 5th round pick, by the way. So amazing pick by Joe Ortiz. But Cam Hart tips it, Tony Jefferson with the game-winning interception. But also, if you look at the play, Khalil Mack is in Jalen Hurts' face. He's not going to hit him, but he is huge. Khalil Mack playing some, looking like LeBron James against the Golden State Warriors in Game 7 type of defense, So, it was just so apparent to see, wow, if we really get, pressure on the quarterback, it can really turn into turnovers. And you definitely saw that in the Kansas City Chiefs game, where when Mahomes was driving down the field and threw that interception to Deion Henley, I think it was either Tuli or Khalil Mack, but they were right there, step for step, right in front of Mahomes, that slightly can change his throw a little bit just to put in the position for the Chargers defender to pick it off. So it's a simple concept, but I haven't really seen that being executed as my time of being a fan. Not even last year that much. And we made the playoffs, and I really think if they really execute that on all levels, not only that, you're going to create turnovers, but maybe create, incompletions on 3rd down, which is really huge as well. Put the offense in positions of, not really doing anything. You have the aggressive tackling of Tarheeb Still, Tuli Pelotu, Deshaun Hand making plays. You have Deion Henley making plays. You have Cam Hart making plays. You have Tony Jefferson, the Unk, making some gorgeous hits. I mean, gorgeous hits. He's bringing his old school attitude into it, and unfortunately, wrongfully got thrown out of the game by the refs. And I've done a few episodes by now. There hasn't been a time where I am talking about the referees that much. That was one of the worst ejections, not only that I've seen when it comes to the Chargers, but that was one of the worst ejections that I've ever seen when it comes to sports. You're meaning to tell me that this hit right here is worth him being thrown out of the game. Now, totally understand if you want to throw the flag, add 15 more yards. You can make a case that that's a penalty, and I'll respect it. You're telling me he is getting thrown out of the game. And not only that, it takes you 2 minutes to throw him out of the game. They got the call from New York to throw him out of the game. Very, very interesting, but, you know, the football gods who never really benefit the Chargers anyway was even like, you know what? That was some horse mess, as Phillip Rivers would say. And, you know, Patrick Mahomes a couple plays later threw an interception. So, you know, karma is the guy on the Chiefs. Ain't that right, Taylor Swift? But where was I? The Chargers defense has been absolutely exquisite. If they're wanting to make a playoff push, they need to perform the way that they're performing right now. Very, very impressed with this safety group, even though we have some injuries. Elijah Molden and RJ Minkins both suffering injuries, but we have some good depth. We have Marcus Williams, who's a vet. We have Marcus May, who's a vet, and we have Derwin James, who, you know, made the game-sealing interception last game. You know, he's sacking off of his blitz, and he's a great tackler. And once he's on the field, I think we don't even need to have a designated safety if he's on the field, if that makes sense. Very, very, very excited to see this game against the Cowboys and seeing how the Chargers defense perform against this Dallas team that has really, like, it's a weird team because, you know, there was very highs and very lows when it comes to, you know, their outlook of the season. And after that loss against the Vikings, they might not really have any hope left when it comes to the playoff push. So we'll see how the Chargers defense takes advantage of that attitude. But this next section, I'm going to talk about Justin Herbert and this Chargers offense and how it's been improving and how it's been not looking like much improvement. So I already mentioned the case scenario of the Chargers offensive line getting better in ways in the past, starting Jamari Salyer when Joe Alt went down. I've been preaching for months, and, you know, they started Austin Deculus for whatever reason, but then after his debut starting at left tackle for the 2025 season, Jamari Salyer has been incredible, despite the fact that what we've seen from our left tackles this year. You know, you have a horrible game from Trevor Penning, you have horrible games from Austin Deculus, and you see that Jamari Salyer is putting up grades that are extremely acceptable. And honestly, you know, it's in the mid 70s to the high 70s, and for the Charger fans, that's like seeing an A+. So, like, Jamari Salyer needs to stay healthy. Big knock on wood on that, because he needs to continue to be at left tackle. He's on the shorter side when it comes to the height, but I think that really helps him in the long run, dealing with some edge rushers to get underneath those edge rushers to take advantage of those one-on-one matchups. And I see this once a game, this image right here. Bradley Bozeman and Mekhi Becton cannot be on the same page. There's been some plays where they've shown potential to being like, okay, all right, now you're proving why you make the big bucks, but then I'm seeing that. What is this? I have seen this for weeks. This image right here, this rusher that comes in, Becton doesn't pick him up, Bozeman doesn't pick him up. Why is there always a miscommunication? Mekhi Becton did not do this when he was on the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Bradley Bozeman didn't even do this last year that much. What is this? What am I looking at? This is the worst thing to see. Almost as bad as this image where there's 4 linemen blocking nobody and Herbert's getting jumped. Like, just, there's no other way of saying it lightly. He's getting jumped by the whole team. The fact that Justin Herbert only fractured his non-throwing hand is a miracle. And they should be praying that, like, man, we are so fortunate that, like, he's not out of the year. Because then you have situations like Joe Burrow where he, has a turf toe. You have situations like Patrick Mahomes getting hit. And, in the long run, that really played a factor of how his season would later end due to that unfortunate ACL tear. But that's just all because that he's been battling through offensive line struggles. But Herbert, without a doubt, has had the worst offensive line this whole year. And when you look at how much pressures they're allowing, and when you look at how many times he's getting hit, you must be like, oh, they're going to be a top 5 team in the NFL draft. They must have maybe 4 wins max. You're telling me right now that the Chargers are 10-4. They're 10-4. You cannot tell me that Herbert is the most valuable player on the team. If you put Trey Lance in that situation, I don't think they're going to really be in the position that they are right now. If you put even Patrick Mahomes in this situation, if you put Joe Burrow in this situation, if you put Lamar in this situation, I don't think they're going to be as successful as what this team has been doing. Am I saying that Herbert has been the best quarterback all season? I think there's still a long season ahead to see if he can make a playoff run to really prove that to be true. But you can say that he's the most valuable quarterback in the league. When it comes to a team success, he's the most valuable. He's not putting up the stats that everybody wants to see where he's throwing 4 touchdowns and 349 yards a game. He's not doing that, but he's doing enough to win games. For instance, in the Kansas City game, we were down 13-3, and Keandre Lambert-Smith took it to the 40-yard line, which was a great kickoff return, but the Chargers had not even 40 seconds left in the half, drives down the field, hit as he throws, hits a 50-yard strike to rookie Trey Harris, who's been stepping up, shout out Trey Harris, and then with less than 20 seconds left, throws a dime in the end zone to Keandre Lambert-Smith, who's caught 2 balls all year. Pause and resume. It's unbelievable to see that drive and not think, man, I think Herbert is the real difference maker. And usually people are just not watching these games, and they're only looking at the stats, which in a way it's valid, but at the same time, how can you judge a quarterback's stats when you're not looking at the situation that he's working with? Went on to score 13 unanswered points. Not the most impressive thing, but the Chiefs offense, who has been frauds all year, even with Patrick Mahomes banged up or healthy, they weren't doing that much against that Chargers defense. So the Chargers putting them in position to at least score a field goal really made the difference. And if we just keep putting points on the board, field goals or touchdowns, I know that we always want touchdowns, but if the defense is not giving up anything, score as many field goals as you need. The only thing that kills me, though, is the red zone. And this is where I want to talk about going forward for the rest of the year. Greg Roman, there's been good calls this year. And I know you don't usually hear that. There's been good calls. But there has been horrible schemes for the red zone. That's where it hurts. It's one thing where the drive ends at the 45-yard line and you kick a 50-yard field goal. Can't be mad at that. When you are inside the 10, that's where you we need to score touchdowns. Don't do some cute stuff. Make a move to put Keenan Allen one-on-one. Oronde Gadsden 6'6". Utilize that target. Put some extra blockers, which they are tend to doing with Trevor Penning to be an extra blocker because, Tucker Fisk looks like he's not going to return for the rest of the year, which I really like because he's an offensive lineman who, has potential to be a starter, but putting him as a wild card blocker in these run pass scenarios can really benefit, extra guys coming in to try to get Herbert. But yeah, at the same time, it's just we cannot go that close to score field goals. We can't. And that's the only thing that I'm separating when it comes to field goals and touchdowns. That needs to be executed completely. Again, if it's one thing that, the drive ends and we have to kick a 50-yard, 45-yard field goal, can't really complain. If we're inside the 10, use Amarian Hampton, use Kamani Vidal, use Ladd McConkey, use Keenan Allen, use Quentin Johnston, use Trey Harris, use Will Dissly even, and use Oronde Gadsden. You have the weapons to, make a play to score a touchdown. If you could score touchdowns at the 50-yard line, why not give it a shot when you're inside the 10? Especially the way that Amari Hampton has been running. There's been one run a game where he's getting 20 yards plus. That is really changing the whole drive. And Amari Hampton being back is really making it really easy for the Chargers to be in that situation where it's 3rd down and 4, we need 5. It's 3rd down and 2, we need 3. And he's just powerful enough to make that first down happen. And I know those are 4 to 5 yard runs, but that can change the whole aspect of utilizing the clock and taking advantage, which the Chargers have been doing pretty good job. They really did a good job against the Chiefs when managing the clock as much as they could, with some 5 to 8 minute drives to, I know the whole motto is like, get Patrick Mahomes off the field as much as you can, but I think that's just the ingredients for any team you play. Try to make effective plays to get you down the field, but you need to just run that clock up, especially when you're winning. So Chargers executing that really made it apparent that, they could be a very dangerous team. I know that the offensive line struggles is going to be a narrative when people are favoriting other teams over the Chargers, but for the Chiefs to be favored in that game against the Chargers by 5.5 points, it's just showing that, some analysts in Vegas are stupid. They just no sugarcoating that. Like, you're actually dumb. You're actually dumb. Almost as dumb as, paying Tua Tagovailoa $215 million just to be the 3rd starting quarterback. Yikes. And that's the quarterback you wanted to pick over Herbert? Yikes. But anywho, going into this week against the Cowboys, I'm expecting a win. I'm expecting a win. And, the Chargers are hungrier than ever to make a playoff push, but anything can happen. I mean, they have Dak Prescott. They have Javonte Williams that can, break out and have some nice plays. They have Ferguson. They have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, who can turn it up any given week. So I'm very, very, very interested to see Jesse Minter's defense go against that offense to see how much it can, how much they're gonna, clash. It's kind of like an iron sharpening iron situation, and I'm very interested in that. Honestly, if they keep up the same formula, you got to create turnovers. You got to pressure the quarterback. And I think Odafe Owe is going to get to Dak Prescott a few times, especially Tuli Pelotu, who's been looking like a Pro Bowler this year. Deion Henley making some plays more recently than he has been for the last few months, and same with Derwin James. And the Chargers have a formula to not only beat the Cowboys, but I'm going to confidently say this. The Chargers have a formula that if they stick to it and they are a little bit decent, okay? A little bit decent on the offensive line performance, just doing enough for Justin Herbert to not die every single play. The Chargers could beat anyone. They can beat anyone, and I'm confident with that. They can beat the Bills. They can beat the frauds. They can beat the fraudulent Patriots. They can beat the fraudulent. The only team that scares me is the Jacksonville Jaguars for obvious reasons. I haven't seen a win against them since the Phillip Rivers days. So that's the team I'm nervous about. But other than that, I think we can beat anyone, truly. And that's not even me being biased. I think we can do it. But time will tell. As much as I want to, confidently say this take or that take, it really relies on the offensive line production. And speaking of which, we are elevating our rookie guard / tackle Branson Taylor for tomorrow's game. So that's very interesting to see if he's going to, play some right guard maybe. I did see Trevor Penning step in for Mekhi Becton at some points of the game. It's a weird little rotation. They're rotating. Either Mekhi Becton is playing unhealthy or he's just gassed out or whatever. He's being rotated in and out when it comes to the right guard position, which is weird. But at the same time, you know what? We've been winning. So, and Herbert's healthy for the most part. Very, very much of a good sign that he's been fully participating in practice, given that the last 2 weeks he's either not practiced or he's been limited participants. Very, very, very excited to see what the Chargers season will come to. In the next episode, episode 20, I am going to recap the Cowboys game, and we're going to preview the Chargers versus the Texans, and I'm very excited about that. I hope you guys have a wonderful, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope you are surrounded by love and all that good stuff. And always remember, bolt up, and I'll see you in the next episode. Man, it's good to be back. Dadgummit! All right, peace.